Welcome to the Farmington Public Library's presentation of Old Blue's Boogie Woogie Band and Blues Ensemble, a retelling of the German story The Bremen Town Musicians by Jan Hewling.
Once upon a time, not so awful long ago, out where the great states of Louisiana and Texas rub shoulders, there lived a farmer who had himself a donkey. Old Blue Donkey spent year after year hauling cotton, dreaming of the day he could enjoy a well-earned retirement. One day, with the sun baking the fields, Old Blue Donkey sat his tired self down to rest for a bit. That's when he happened to hear Farmer Brown talking to his wife. "Yep, you're right, Marmer. Old Blue Donkey is getting too decrepit to be of use to us. We can't afford to feed no critter that can't work. I got to put the poor beast out of his misery." Old Blue Donkey couldn't believe his long ears, but he wasn't going to wait around to find out if he had heard right. He was up and gone before old Farmer Brown could haul out of his rocker. Old Blue Donkey trotted down the road and didn't stop until the very next day, when he sat himself down to make a plan.
Well now, Farmer Brown had himself a point about me being just past my prime. Maybe I do need a change of character. I've heard them folks down in New Orleans have a keen appreciation for music, and I do have myself a beautiful singing voice.
With that, he commenced to braying and hee-hawing, pleased as Punch at the sound of his own voice. Now, if you can imagine the sound an accordion makes falling down a flight of stairs, you got some notion of the sound of Old Blue Donkey's singing voice. So off he went to seek fame, hee-hawing all the way. Before long, Old Blue Donkey noticed he wasn't singing alone. His beautiful solo was now a duet.
Well, I'll be. Seems another musician lurking in yon bushes. Show yourself, old silver-throated vermin.
Out from behind a blackberry bush lumbered a flea-bit old hound dog, just as matted and nasty as could be.
Tell me, friend, what are you doing out here in the middle of no place at all?
It's like this. I lived in a house with folks who'd pat me and throw stuff for me to fetch, and then I got too old and they got a new pup and they didn't want me around no more. Ow!
That's a sad tale for sure. Hey now, I'm heading to New Orleans to sing in a honky-tonk. Why not come with me? Them big city folk won't know what hit 'em.
So Gnarly Dog, whose voice sounded like a guitar being scraped with a washboard, and Old Blue Donkey, whose voice sounded like an accordion falling down the stairs, continued on down the road, screeching to a boogie-woogie beat. A few miles on, their duet mysteriously turned into a trio.
Well, I'll be. What gentle music is that? Show yourself, old golden-throated varmint.
Out from behind the palmettos come a scrawny, half-blind yellow cat, looking sad and downhearted.
What are you doing away out here, and why so sad?
See here, it's like this. I lived in a cottage with an old lady who used to scratch behind my ears and let me eat all the mice I could catch. Then I got on in years, and the old gal gave me the boot.
Well, me and Gnarly Dog here are heading to New Orleans to sing in a honky-tonky. Why not come with us? Them big city folks won't know what hit 'em.
So One-Eyed Lemony Cat, whose voice sounded like a fiddle being played with a carving knife, and Gnarly Dog, whose voice sounded like a guitar being scraped with a washboard, and Old Blue Donkey, whose voice sounded like an accordion falling down the stairs, continued on down the road, howling in a fine blue style. They hadn't been walking but a little while when their trio turned into a quartet.
Why, I'll be a batter fried wing-ding if our fine music don't sound even better.
Show yourself, O ruby-throated varmint.
Down from a droopy branch willow tree dropped a grizzled old rooster.
What are you doing way down here, my sad-looking feathered friend?
Well, it's like this. I've been living on a farm way off yonder ever since I was an egg. Had me a good job, too, waking folks up every day. Then one of 'em gets a newfangled alarm clock and I'm out of business.
Say, we're headed for New Orleans to sign in a honky-tonky. Come on and join us. Them big city folk won't know what hit 'em.
So, Rusty Red Rooster, whose voice sounded like a player piano being hit with an axe, and One-Eyed Lemony Cat, whose voice sounded like a fiddle being played with a carving knife, and Gnarly Dog, whose voice sounded like a guitar being scraped with the washboard, and Old Blue Donkey, whose voice sounded like an accordion falling down the stairs, marched off scatting and bebopping all the way. When evening settled in, the four friends decided they needed to bed down for the night. They was all tuckered out and right hungry, too, but they had nary a morsel between 'em.
Hey, band, I see a lit-up cabin in yon distance. Let's go see if we can sing for our supper.
They all agreed it was a fine idea, and off they went to the cabin.
Let's have a peek at our first audience.
So the ragtag band of four tippy-toes to the window. Inside the cabin they spied a table covered with a banquet, the likes of which they had never seen. There was gumbo and etouffee, muffalettas and po'boys, pralines and bread pudding, and more besides. And sitting round that table were two rough, tough, ugly-looking thieves just glaring at one another and picking their teeth with their knives.
Man, oh man, they sure don't look like music lovers.
You never know. Let's get ourselves set up for this here gig.
So Old Blue Donkey stepped up onto a wobbly wooden crate in front of the window, and Gnarly Dog climbed onto his back. One-Eyed Lemony Cat scrambled up onto Gnarly Dog's back, and Rusty Red Rooster flapped up to the top. They all took a great gulp of air, and then let out the loudest, craziest, awfulest shriek you can possibly imagine. And as they did, that old wooden crate caved right in, and all four critters went crashing through the window and into the cabin. All that screeching and crashing near scared them two thieves half to death. They screamed like the devil, then hightailed it out of that cabin and fled into the woods. Once the band was back on its many feet and had regained its dignity, the famished musicians couldn't keep from helping themselves to all that good food. They ate and ate till they were plumb wore out and too stuffed to eat any more.
Might as well go to bed, y'all.
So Rusty Red Rooster flapped up to the rafters. One-Eyed Lemony Cat found a nice spot on a shelf. Gnarly Dog curled up near the fire, and Old Blue Donkey nestled down behind the door. Soon they were all happily snoozing and snoring. Out in the forest, the thieves finally stopped their hightailing and commenced to speculating.
What in tarnation was that?
A monster sent straight from the devil himself.
Did you see all them feathers and fur and teeth? And did you hear that terrible, unholy sound?
Well, seems pretty quiet now. Could be it's gone. I'm heading back to claim our loot. Are you with me? His friend didn't answer. So that there thief tightened his belt, straightened his hat, and sneaked back to the cabin all alone. When he got there, he heard nary a sound. All was dark and still. He slowly opened the door, crept to the hearth, and found the matches. With shaking hands, he finally brought a match to fire, right smack in the one good eye of One-Eyed Lemony Cat. That yeller feline was so startled she shot up all puffed and screeching and scratched the thief right on the nose. The match flew to the floor and went out. The terrified thief stumbled for the door in the dark and stepped on Gnarly Dog, who chomped squarely on the offender's leg. Howling like a banshee, the thief ran straight into the path of Old Blue Donkey, who gave him a kick with both hind legs that sent that thief flying. All the while, Rusty Red Rooster kept crying cock-a-doodle-doo at the top of his grisly lungs. That thief took off like a shot and didn't stop running till he was deep in the woods. "It's still there, all right, and it's even bigger and meaner than we thought. That monster had razor-sharp claws and a bear-trap grip. It beat me so hard that all the air went clean out of me. The worstest, blackest nightmare you can imagine. And most terrible of all, the whole time that fiend kept screaming, 'I'm going to get you. Let's skedaddle.' So off went them thieves, never to be seen nor heard of in those parts again. Old Blue Donkey, Gnarly Dog, One-Eyed Lemony Cat, and Rusty Red Rooster never did get to that fancy honky-tonk down in New Orleans. The comfy little cabin in the woods was a right perfect place to retire, so there they lived, singing harmony for the rest of their days. Them big city folks never knew what they missed."
Thank you for coming to the Farmington Public Library Puppet Show presentation of Old Blues Boogie Woogie Band.